There we go. Hi! I just came back from a 2-week trip to Japan, and I filled some sketchbooks while I was there, and I thought we would do another funny little sketchbook tour. Afternoon, I'm June. We're doing this unscripted again. You guys liked it last time. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. We're gonna try it again. This one is going to be interesting, let's say. These were very frustrating for me to do, and I did not expect that, and you know, I do not regret my trip to Japan. I had a wonderful time, regardless of how stressed out I was. But I would say that I did this kind of willy-nilly. Let's say that. I did this perhaps irresponsibly, even. And I basically threw myself into the single most stressful situation I possibly could have, and like didn't respect the fact that I was doing that at all. I just I winged it, and I think better planning would have made this trip a lot better for me because, you know, because I didn't plan for it that well, I was just kind of scared the whole time. But, you know, everything turned out fine. It was great. It was a wonderful little trip. I've learned things about myself. And you know, something that was brought up a lot on this trip, the first week I was just there by myself. I was mostly hanging out with my friend Emily. And then the second week I was specifically with a group of people, a group of strangers that were all there specifically for an art careers trip. And on that trip, the question of motivation was brought up a lot, just like as a general theme. And also on that trip, I was apparently drawing so much that it was commented on multiple times. People being like, wow, how do you have the motivation to do all that? And the first answer that I always give is, well, I'm working. But the second answer, and I think the more important one here, is that these are like really therapeutic for me. That, you know, coming home after a trip like that and having to spend a couple days like formulating my thoughts about how I'm going to describe everything that I just did, like to an audience of people who are not in my head, is very helpful for me. And I feel like this trip gave me a lot of really important things to think about. And I do feel like I've done a lot of real good reflection since then. Let's not waste any more time. Let's just go ahead and get into it. So this first one is actually, I finished up this one that I started in London, if you remember this from the last one. This gray marker here is, I believe this is where the London sketchbook ended off. Let me just, yeah, basically. And then orange is where I drew up to in my own time. So I got a good amount of the sketchbook finished just with prism stuff. But orange is where we start off. This was the first day. This was my flight to Japan. Starting over here on the right side, the day before my trip was a Nintendo Direct, and of all things, they announced the new AI the Somnium Files game, and I didn't have any time that day to draw anything for it because I had to get ready for this trip. But oh my god, ᴠᴦᵃ, the man that you are, I need to rip you apart between my teeth. I had to draw at least a little bit of them, all of my favorite blonde men at the moment. So I've got just 3 relatively normal looking guys here. They're all kind of similar to me. They're all three of my favorite guys, perhaps because they share my favorite things right now. Maybe that's why they're all kind of similar. And then I drew their funny little partners over here on this side. I feel like they'd all mostly get along, except Aika. Aika's not, she can't really make friends. I drew Pure Vanilla Cookie as a sinker up here. You know, he's already got heterochromia, so I thought that Shadow Milk would make for a funny little AI ball. And this is the Somnium Files dialogue, just with those two. And then the plane had Belle on it. If you guys have seen the movie Belle, it's anime Beauty and the Beast, basically. I really like it. I'm a big fan of Belle, and there's a song from there that I've been thinking about with Shadow Milk and Pure Vanilla for a while. So on the plane, I put that movie on, and I kept doing a bunch of like screenshot redraw sort of studies. Ooh, this is like the big scene, the one, I'm not describing it. The big cool one. And this is more screenshot redraws of them. You know, a lot of the sketchbook is gonna be cookies, and you're just gonna have to like prepare yourself for that. And a lot of this sketchbook is going to be Jambound. Jambound is Shadow Milk and Pure Vanilla fan fiction. It is the fic of all time. I freaking love it. I think I drew something for like damn near every update that came out while I was on vacation. So prepare yourself for a lot of Jambound. Lots of Jambound spoilers ahead. Warning for that. I think these are the 2 chapters that came out right before my trip that I didn't have time to draw anything for. So I was catching up on it here. And these were 2 that song from Belle, just like hypothetical if I get to like do something more with it one day. First musings. This was like from the ballroom scene. And then this is the Blue Moon Garden. And this was when I actually landed in Japan. So officially arrived. First thing that happened is I was waiting in line for a taxi and there was inappropriate imagery on my phone and I was just too tired to realize it for a hot second. So it was just on display there. Hopefully nobody was looking. Took my taxi to my very first hotel room. It was a very nice hotel room. I liked it. I got there in the early-ish evening and I decided to go to bed early because I was really freaking tired. Before this trip, first of all, I hardly got any sleep because I was drawing so many cookies, and I was just excitedly doing that. I'm not hyper-fixated on something like this in a minute. It's a little nuts. But also, like, the closer we got to this trip, I was really nervous about it. I've done plenty of traveling before. I've gone overseas plenty of times, and it didn't occur to me until, like, right before the trip happened that I'm like, oh, I've never, like, first of all, gone on a solo trip, but also a solo trip where I'm not meeting up with a friend to hang out the whole time. I'm meeting up with a group of complete strangers, basically. And like the night before my flight, I couldn't sleep because I was trying to not throw up the entire time. Like, I was so scared. So I arrived to Japan with basically like 2 days going on no sleep. And I think, 7 p.m., I might as well just go to bed. I'm probably gonna sleep through for the next like 14 hours now that I'm finally sat somewhere. I got 4 hours that night. I woke up at midnight and I could not fall back asleep again. So my very first day in Japan was also a 24-hour awake day. That's fine. We live with it. Since I was awake anyway, I got some like cat and Neneko as Shadow Milk and Truthless Recluse, and then just some Nenekos up here. I love drawing things real teeny tiny lately. And then that was the end of this sketchbook. We basically finished it just in that first little stint on the first plane. This side was the final page. This is actually from my London trip. This was Izzy showing me how their acrylic markers worked. I think it looks real great. Is it Firestar? Izzy, is this Firestar? It's probably Firestar. That's the first one. Everything else from this 2-week trip was done in this sketchbook, which is also something that I started a little before the trip actually started. This is where I got up to on my own. This is where I ended. So in the next 2 weeks, I got from page 37 to page 108. So starting off completely normal, nothing strange here. This first day where I was just awake so early, I was supposed to meet up with Emily and Ditus and we were gonna film a collab for Spilled Ink, and that was gonna be like first thing in the morning. Too bad I was up literally first thing in the morning, midnight, so I had to wait a good like 7 hours until I could do that, and I thought I would bide my time by doing a bunch of studies. And instead, I started in an attempt to make some friends. So that's all I'm gonna say about this one down here. I was starting to make some friends. I was doing a couple studies up here just to like whenever I met up with Emily and Ditus, I thought maybe I could show them how layering works with highlighters because they let me pick the video topic and I picked highlighters. I was spreading my agenda. I don't know which one of those videos is gonna go up, which one's gonna go up first, but I did accidentally skip ahead in the pages. The next page I chronologically did was that spread with Spilled Ink. This was a really great time. I always get really nervous to hang out and film with people that I don't necessarily talk to on a daily basis like I do with my team. Like, talking to my team is just fine. Anyone else, I get scared. But this was great. This was an amazing time. I had an amazing time with Emily. She listened to everything I had to say about cookies. I talked about them way too much. But those were the same page. And I think the only other thing that I drew this day... The next day I was sick all day. I got home from this building stuff. We stayed out for so long, and the next day I was immediately like bedridden again. It happened twice on both my last trips. I wish it wouldn't, but bedridden the whole day. Couldn't manage to draw a single thing except for these studies of, his name's evading me, it shouldn't be, Sage of Truth. Drew these also in an attempt to make new friends. This is from my buddy Zeph. Zeph loves Sage of Truth. And then I started catching up on everything that I missed from the day before. So this was, you know, because I was sick the whole day. I woke up with like a really bad headache and I tried to go to a 7-Eleven to get some medicine for it. And I couldn't understand anything that was being said to me. I couldn't read anything that was on the shelves. So I didn't find the headache medicine. And I thought, you know, it's probably fine. If I just like drink some coffee and I put some cold water on my forehead, I bet it'll be fine. And then I slept the rest of the day. At least I finally got some sleep. Other things that I missed from the earlier days, one of my very first 7-Elevens I went to, I got scolded. I went to checkout. I paid for my stuff. I said, arigato. The guy went, gozaimasu. Sorry. I did not make that mistake again. I said the full thing every single time after that. I underestimated how scary it would be to go somewhere where you don't speak the language. Like, I know like a couple words. I know barely any Japanese. And like after that happened, a different 7-Eleven I went to, a lady picked up a book and she accidentally dropped it. It fell at my feet. I pick it up, I hand it to her. And she's like, "Gomennasai." I'm like, "Oh, daijoubu." And I said that and like she recoils and like raises an eyebrow at me. I'm like, should I shut the fuck up? Like for real, should I pretend I don't know a lick of Japanese because I'm scared? And then, you know, God bless both of them. When I was hanging out with Emily and Didas, I did not expect myself to be such a little fucking chatterbox. I feel like I probably dominated the conversation. I had so much to say suddenly. We're hanging out all day and we get to like the end of the day and Didas is like, you know, you've been talking about cookies the entire time. And I think I played it off pretty well in the moment, but that was embarrassing. And then over here, I was talking to my new friend Eli. We were talking about just different Pure Vanilla costumes, and he's got this like one Fairy Kingdom costume, and I love that costume. It's the only Pure Vanilla costume I don't have yet, and I want it so bad. I love it. Eli doesn't like it at all. He's like, I would rip that shit off. I'm like, you know what? Shadow Milk would too. He has good reason to not fuck with fairies. So I drew this little 2-part comic based on that. And then over here on this side, this is a couple different things. Emily took me out again. We hung out that day. We went to this like stationery store and I got so many pens. This was how I decided to swatch test all of those. I just made a bunch of different like bubbles. I don't know. And there were like photo machines that you could go in with your friend. You could take pictures together, but like they made you look like aliens. Like they made you look weird. It was so cool. It was really fun actually. I understand the appeal of catfishing now. So I had to draw one of those. This is Eli's designs for Shadow Milk and Pure Vanilla as cowboys, and Bestie Sushi asked me to draw this. And then these are little milkweedlings. And people keep saying, how are you gonna explain it, June? How are you gonna explain it, June? If you know, you know. That's what you get. Because I drew the cowboy AU, I wanted to draw some of my own SMPV AU. I want to put them in a zombie apocalypse, because what else am I gonna do? My name's June, I like zombies.
I like turtles.
We got my first ever black raisin up here. There's that spelled ink page again. This is out of order. And then I drew Caleb for Emily. These were just studies of him. Caleb from Love and Deep Space. I really wanted to try drawing him as a cookie. The name I picked out was Bionic Apple Cookie. That's what I was gonna go with. I never ended up getting around to that, so someone else get on that for me, pretty please. But I drew this page, and when Emily was like flipping through the pages I had already, when she got to this one, she screamed, and I understand. I understand, Emily. This was also a request from my new friend Sushi. She wanted just a whole page of weedlings. And then over here, here's the first physical evidence of my frustration. I was just like not having a good time. So I was astral projecting that onto Apollo. I was giving him a hard time. This is just my little frustrated page. And it's so weird. I usually love sketchbooking. I love sketchbooking, and for some reason on this trip, I was just like so frustrated with everything that I was drawing. And I was like, I think it's because I had done so much digital art leading up to this that I kind of got used to being able to fix things. So just sitting with them being like the uglier versions of my drawings for a while, like, I don't know, that was frustrating for me. But I think more than anything, it was about like, I was being more social than I have in a very long time. Not necessarily in person, but online. I'm suddenly in a fandom again, guys. When the fuck is the last time that happened? And I'm paying attention to like all these other people's art right now, and suddenly there's like comparisons going in my head. Don't let that get to you, folks. Comparison is the thief of joy. Why am I so frustrated with myself? There's no reason. To try and also work off of being frustrated, I'm like, okay, break it down, do some studies for a bit. So this is just like different head angles. This is studies of a character from Kill la Kill. Trying to like ground myself with a style that I really like that's similar to mine. And then just a bunch of headshots just going nuts. Neneko's over here, Neneko's. We have some Sarahs over here. I'm thinking too many of my little kid characters have pigtails, and I think Sarah would look kind of cute if you just chopped them off and you just gave her a funny little pixie cut. I think she's adorable like that. This page, I did not get very much done on this page. This was the one and only time that I got lost in Japan. The singular time. It only happened once, and I am so proud of myself. I conquered those train systems. It was kind of nuts. Even with my phone, at one point, Google Maps was actively lying to me about how to get back to my hotel, and I still figured out how to use those maps, and I felt great. I felt on top of the world. I didn't cry a single time in those train systems. The one time I got lost, this was towards the end. This was the very last day of my first week there, so my last day hanging out with Emily. The day after this, I'd be meeting up with the art group that I was with, and someone from the art group had messaged me, and they asked if I wanted to like meet them for breakfast. They're like, let's get weird ramen. I said, okay, that sounds so cool. They sent me the address, and just, I don't know, my phone did not appreciate the address format, I guess. So I took the trains and walked there, and it took me to just completely the wrong place. So I had to message the girl, her name was Gracie. I had to say, like, can you just like copy and paste the exact address you used to get there? And it was like a 40-minute walk for me to get to where she was. But you know what? It was a very beautiful place to be lost. So I got a lot of great pictures, and we had a lovely little breakfast. This was from something that I saw on my walk there. There was just like, I don't know, some entrance that was slightly below ground level. And I was just thinking about Apollo going in. I don't know what the ceilings were like down there. I just kind of assumed they were low. Just Apollo having to like duck into a place like this, and what if the ceilings stay too low? I don't know, that guy's really tall. This was drawn by the girl from my group who I met up with for breakfast. She was so sweet. She's got such a cute style. And then this was from that evening. Emily drew this one because I needed Emily to draw at least one thing in my sketchbook, and she took me to karaoke that last night. It was just the two of us. I was very scared to do like two-person karaoke, like a room for two people. But Emily's like, well, what do you usually do at karaoke? I'm like, I don't usually do karaoke, but I could fuck up some musicals. And she went, yeah, we can. So we, the entire night, for like 3 hours straight, just put on duets, 3 or 4 hours straight, put on duet after duet from musical. We were just going the whole time, and it was awesome. Had an incredible time, got super drunk, embarrassed the fuck out of myself. This was another moment where I was like, should I just shut the fuck up? Because while we were there, we had to go to the bathroom at some point. So we got up and we ran into the hallway. We were looking for the bathrooms, and this employee walked past me very quickly. I almost walk into him, damn near like knock straight into him. So because I almost ran into him, I'm like, oh, excuse me. I go, ᴬᵐᵉ, you know, just sorry, I almost ran into you. That's also how you call like for service attention though. That's how you tell them that like you need something. So I say ᴬᵐᵉ because I almost knocked him over. He's like already halfway down the hallway. He spins on his heel. He looks at me. He goes, what's up? No, thanks, sir. I'm sorry. That's not what I meant. So that was crazy. So Emily drew that. Such a cute little picture. I love how that came out. And after that, we went back to my hotel room, and I showed Emily the Miraculous movie. And I was so drunk and tired that I don't know at what point I fell asleep, and I don't know at what point my brain just stopped remembering things. I don't remember a damn thing that Emily reacted to that movie on. But I know that since then, she's kept talking to me about it, so I have to assume it went well. Hold on, real fast, because I got to be able to pay my team for how they held down the fort while I was in Japan. This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one website platform that's designed to help you stand out and successfully make a name for yourself online.
That's great. I'll take it from here, Ray. Thanks. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform that's designed to be completely user-friendly and customizable from start to finish to create your website to be totally unique. They have plenty of available templates for not-so-savvy web designers that are perfectly appealing to professional clientele, and otherwise, their drag-and-drop features are quite simple to use, which I really appreciated. We actually run our merch website through Squarespace, and I have nothing but fantastic things to say about it. Their customer service has been truly top-notch. Our personal experience is that they're responsive and eager to assist whenever we have any issues regarding our payment processing, shipping calculating, or coding. And speaking of coding, you can actually code the entire website to your personal tastes. I spent over a week in the coding mines putting our shop together from the ground up using the graphics and layout that I had designed, but you see, I am a complete coding novice. I have never coded anything in my life, so how did I do it? The answer, dear viewer, is Squarespace Forums, an incredible resource for learning how to customize your website beyond Squarespace's basic presented tools, because it connects you with other creators who are willing to help each other achieve desired results. And in my experience, the community there has been incredibly kind and helpful, and I can't thank them enough for making something so daunting into something so accessible. So check out squarespace.com/ for a free trial website of your own, and when you're ready to purchase your own unique domain, use our offer code at checkout to save 10%. Thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring, and now, back to the video.
And then this was the first page of the official art trip. So I had to move to a different hotel and, check out at every hotel is like 10 a.m. and then check in is 3 p.m. because they want to cause problems for me specifically, I guess. So I had a good many hours where I had to just figure out what to do. So I went on a walk at first. There were a lot of really beautiful parks. There was a lot of walking on this trip, which was amazing, and I love going on walks, but also my body was in so much pain. I went to a convenience store and I picked up every different pen and highlighter that they had in there. This was my swatch page for that, 2 highlighters, these 3 RGB, they're erasable pens, and there's pink and blue pen right here. I don't know. I was just playing around. And on this page, I think I was thinking, I should really be drawing more Prism right now. I feel like I'm drawing a lot of cookies, so I started drawing some Prism, and then I immediately veered right back to cookies. Eternal Sugar should be coming out soon. Next month, I think, hopefully, or maybe the month after. I hope it's next month. I would love to get Eternal Sugar for my birthday. But I so badly want to manifest the same kind of brain rot that I had for Shadow Milk with Eternal Sugar, and I know that I learned from Shadow Milk, the more that I draw something, the more likely I am to latch onto it. So I got an early head start. I started with her here, and this is her here too. I believe at that point we were able to check into our hotel, and we only really had a group dinner to do after that. I ended up leaving early because I was already so exhausted. Went back to my hotel room, went straight to bed, and the next day we all went to a garden that day. But before that, we stopped for breakfast. We'll get into that story in a second. We stopped for breakfast at this cute little croissant place, and I sat down and I was drawing aerial silks, because these are studies for Eternal Sugar. I've got plans for her. And I will tell anyone who listens that I want to draw her with a princess canopy bed and doing aerial silks and all the canopies. So this was studies for that. I'll have to come back to these later. I was studying bird wings just to practice for her wings. And there was, for some reason, the word Apollo seems to be very popular in Japan. The croissants that we got there was a display on the door that they were called Apollo somethings, and they were chocolate and strawberry croissants. And when I saw just the name, I gasped out loud. And the people standing right next to me went, What is it? I'm sorry, nothing. It's nothing, I promise. So I had to draw that real fast. And this was the little mascot that was on the Apollo croissants. Why do I keep forgetting that word as soon as I say it? Croissant. So I drew these at breakfast. And then we got to the garden to do our very first workshop, where we introduced ourselves, and then we talked about something that we were struggling with and something that we were doing to try and combat our struggles. It was a very beautiful park. The trip host had handed out some pens that she really liked, so I was trying to make sure I got to use those. I did like those pens. These are some sakura blossoms that I pressed to keep with me forever. They're just kind of floating around in there. That's fine. I drew a couple of the people that were there on the trip that were just sitting around in this big circle. I drew some of the foliage. We were just sitting in the grass. I felt really bad because when I was doing this one, the guy sitting next to me, I believe his name was Enrique, he leaned over and he's like, hey, how are you doing those leaves? And I do this one and I'm like, I don't know. I just kind of fuck it, we ball. Like, that's all I could think to say. I don't know. I just be scribbling. And then more Eternal Sugar over here. That's my fucking wife. This page, I had kind of just, I'm coming to terms with the fact that I'm being very inspired by Pure Vanilla and Shadow Milk, of course. And people keep joking. They're like, I can't wait to see the way you OCify them. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to be doing that. But I think I will transplant some traits over onto my OCs. I think I want Tia to be more of a creature. I kind of like drawing characters flying around, actually. I don't think Tia would literally be able to fly. I think it would be more of like, she could use invisible stilts and like fake it and like make it look like she's flying. But I think that could be fun. And then over here, this is the dynamic that I need desperately from Eternal Sugar and Shadow Milk. This is a quote from Trolls 3 with them as Velvet and Veneer. I need them to be best friends. I need them to be best friends. And it was getting late in the night, but I wanted to have at least something else on this page, so just like some scribbled in Tias. You know, while we're on this page, shout out to Tanuki Lab. The newest episode that we just put up, I think, is our funniest one. And it's got both cookies and it's got Trolls 3 in it, and you guys should click on it. You should watch it. This page I did the next morning as we were getting ready for like our next day of the trip. My roommate showed up late and I had real bad insomnia like the entire trip. So I woke up at like 5 a.m. desperately did not want to bother my roommate. So I grabbed my sketchbook and all my things and I just went down to the hotel lobby and I started drawing there. And while I was drawing in the lobby, my friend Sushi sent me like a bunch of her OC's lore. So I was reading through that and I did a little bit of fan art of her character. So this is Philomena. It's my friggin' wife, and that's her husband. That's her husband Callisto, and they don't get along very well. This was Sushi asking for an angry kiss, but her husband wears a mask, so that's what I came up with. And then I thought I would draw our two bad bitches beefing because this one hates her husband and this one does not. Tia loves her husband. On this day of the trip, we went to the Clip Studio Paint headquarters and we got a workshop there. This was just me drawing the view of the presentation that we were getting at the Clip Studio Paint place. This was a picture that I took on the way there. This was jam bound because the update came out like the day before and I gave all of my reactions to Sushi in DMs, and the fic author, we call them Jamma, they didn't get to see any of them, so I apologized by drawing one of the scenes, and I fucked it up because this paper is pathetic and it can't handle black highlighter. This is highlighter, by the way. Incredible coverage. I love Stabilo highlighters, but this paper cannot handle it, so I destroyed my poor white lily. So over here we've got more Eternal Sugars. I believe these ones might have also been studies off of birds. I was really enjoying this like pink and blue highlighter combo that I had here. I will end up using this a lot. And this is an absence from my Magical Girl story. It is supposed to look the most like Tia, but is decidedly not Tia. Don't worry about it. And in this page, Eli was asking to see more Cat, and I said, who am I to say no? So I did some more Cat and Neneko like interactions. On the TV that we had in the hotel room, they had some movies on demand. Not on demand, they were just like free streaming movies, and one of them that they had was like the Japanese dub of Venom 3. So I thought it'd be funny to draw like Neneko being a little symbiote to Cat. I meant to draw more of that. I didn't get very much of that done. This was the day that Google Maps was lying to me. We went out as a group to the, there was like this little shopping district that was like a bunch of vintage clothes. And I went into a couple stores and I realized pretty quickly that I just wasn't going to be buying anything. That I did not have the energy to like actually consider myself wearing any of these things. So I mostly I ran around and I took a bunch of pictures. I got a lot of really cool pictures. I love the architecture over there. It was fucking incredible. And I was like, I should probably try to draw some of these pictures at least. And this is as far as I got with one building before I was like, no, I'm done. I'm done. Slightly more Nina Cat from that night. This is to lyrics from ES. I love that song with Cat. And then they're stupid. They're stupid and dumb. The next day, Jambound updated. I had to draw scenes from that. Jambound. Please read Jambound. We got some Nenekos over here. I believe this is the day that this was halfway through our trip. We moved from Tokyo to Kyoto. So we had to take like my first bullet train to get over there. So that's where I finished drawing these. I was on the bullet train for these. And we got to a brand new hotel and we had to carry our luggage through all of these like train stations. So by the time we got there, and because I've been doing like like so much walking and carrying stuff around for the week and a half I'd already been there. I was so tired. I'm like, you guys keep going. I'm staying behind. I just kept drawing. So there's some Nenekos over here. And then did some Neneko and Zoe, because I'm like, I need to get one other character out here. I'm really trying to like be strategic with the prism art that I'm doing right now. I think I've hit a little bit of a wall. It's a good thing that I hit it in this sketchbook because I've had a lot of time to think about why I've done that and think about where I want to go from here. But like, I feel like a lot of the prism drawings that I have in here are just kind of like me attempting to be productive. But I think that's where another like thing that frustrated me about this sketchbook came in was I was realizing that like a lot of the things that I was drawing had like nothing to do with the fact that I was in Japan. I was just kind of like making sure that I kept drawing things, and I wasn't, a lot of the things that I was drawing weren't necessarily engaging with the things around me. I had to put a lot of thought into that, and it was actually something that my friend Chi said that really like helped it click into place for me, which is that like drawing is how I communicate. That's how I was spending my time, you know? Even though I was like in Japan and there was a lot of like really cool things that were happening and that I was getting to experience and look at, what I want to be actually drawing is something I can then like immediately turn around to who I'm talking to and be like, see? Like I want to share it right away. And I'm not good with my words. So frequently I'll be like talking to someone and I can't figure out how to describe something. I'll be like, please hold, and I have to draw it out. And it's just, the people that I was mainly talking to on this trip were people in my phone. And another part of the frustration that I had is I've realized on this trip, I simply need backup. I need backup. If I am leaving the house and I am going somewhere, I need at least one person in the room with me. You are my trusted confidant. You are my anchor in this situation. You are my backup. I need someone that I can look to at any given moment and see like if they're fine, we're good. You know, if I can trust that if they're not freaking out, I have nothing to freak out about. If I am by myself, I'm very mean to me. My head is very mean to me. I will second guess everything into oblivion. So I was so socially anxious. And I feel like I didn't get to give the people on the trip there my best because I was just scared the whole time. You all seemed really lovely. If any of you were watching this, by the way, I'm so sorry that I was a shaking, scared little dog the whole time. Yeah, a lot of what I was drawing ended up being like things that were like I was kind of capturing the things that were going on in the moment. I was also partially like comforting myself because it was very stressful and scary. Again, I had a wonderful, amazing time, but just a lot of things going on that like I did not realize were going to stress me out so bad. Anyway, absence on this page. This was from a nightmare that I had when I was a very little kid. That nightmare like stuck with me. These guys in my dream, they were like red and they scared the crap out of me. I don't even remember what they did. I remember their face. This was also while just like hanging out in the hotel lobby waiting for them to let us check in again. So we got a little bit of ḥᵦᵏ and Eternal Sugar. I realized I needed to do some ḥᵦᵏ studies. I have plans. I have a song in mind for whenever Eternal Sugar drops that I want to do an animatic for with them. So I got to prepare. I got to get into ḥᵦᵏ, Brainrot 2. I want to get Pattaya, Brainrot. I got to do more Wildberry. I got a lot of characters to get caught up on. More Eternal Sugar and Shadow Milk over here. I had like retweeted two things back to back. This was a My Hero Academia little scene that I hadn't seen before. And right after that was a text conversation that I love very much. So I just mashed them both together with them. I think it's very them coded. And Sushi, my friend Sushi got a Temu or like a knockoff version of the Shadow Milk plushie, and his head is so long and tall and full of thoughts. Over on this page, this morning it had occurred to me, I had so many sandwiches there. More than anything, I was eating food at 7-Eleven. I was mostly eating at convenience stores because I was like scared to go somewhere where I would need to place an order without someone there who could like actually speak the language to help me out. If I was placing an order by myself, I would like take a picture of whatever I was wanting from the menu and I would just show it to them because I was scared. Regardless, I ate a lot of convenience store food. They all had egg sandwiches. fuck with sandwiches now. I don't know what like, it's not like I haven't had sandwiches before, but like having eaten so many, I'm like, you know what? Kind of goated, especially egg sandwiches. But it occurred to me in the dome, they probably have a lot of egg. Like that's probably their main source of protein because it's so easy for like chickens to produce eggs even if they're not fertilized. So I drew like everyone here being kind of sick of all the eggs, but everyone on that trip that I was with, we all like fucked heavy with those egg sandos. Those were really good. And like I posted this and on Patreon, a couple people were like, oh, that really makes me want to hear more about like what food would be like in the dome. Don't ask me. Don't ask me. This is stuff that I have no idea. I wouldn't know where to begin to start. I would love to hear other people's thoughts about it, and then I'll doodle them. And then this was our first official morning at that new hotel. And the way that it was supposed to work was because we were on a group trip, they were gonna cover our breakfasts, but it was just like a little store in the lobby of the hotel. And I got down there early and the guy wasn't there to pay for it, so I just bought it myself. And the trip host came over at some point and she's like, oh, June, did you have that paid for? You know, if you go up to this guy, he'll pay for it for you. And I was scared. I did not feel like myself on this leg of the trip. It felt like the first day of school jitters for like a whole week. I have no good explanation for myself. A bitch needs to be medicated, I think. I needed Xanax terribly. But like she said that to me, and of course in the moment, I'm like, like I immediately like, I don't want to go talk to this guy. That seems like so embarrassing. I don't know, what if something goes wrong? But I don't want to tell Michelle that. So I'm like, okay. And I kind of like look around and I make movements like I'm thinking about getting up. And then I just end up not moving and hoping that nobody notices. I decide to document this anxiety that I had, but that's a lot of steps and I only want to do 4 panels. So I just end with a no. And we'll come back to that in a second. This day, we went on a bus tour. It took us like 4 different stops. We went to 3 different shrines and then to a bamboo forest. It was really cool. While we were waiting for the bus to start, I drew like Neneko hanging out on one. Because I imagine, you know, at whatever point we are in the story in Prism, that like they don't really have gas. They can't really drive around. So why not just hang out in the cars? Put up like little bedspreads. I don't know, cool hangout spaces. And then everyone there had bikes. I meant to draw more of this. It was just Apollo on a little bike with a little space for the baby in the back. A lot of people in Japan, they have like their kid seat on the back, but then it rains there a bunch, so they're like in little bubbles. It was so adorable. But I didn't get to finish drawing that because like right as the trip started, Jamma personally sent me the link to the new update for Jambound. And I was like, oh fuck. But then like we had to get out of the bus and we had to go on our walking tour. I was like, oh my god, I don't have any time to read this. The first stop that we did, I got some good food. I got to have like real not festival, but like street food, takoyaki. I wanted that so bad. I was so glad I got to do it. And I also got this meat stick of like Wagyu beef, which was fucking incredible. It was really, really delicious. I felt so bad though, the woman in front of me, like directly in front of me, the guy hands her the stick and I look away. So I don't know whose fault this is. I have no idea. But I look away and I hear a clattering and a gasp and I look up and the meat's on the floor and she and the vendor are just staring at each other and he doesn't offer her a new one. So she like just has to angrily throw it away in front of him. I felt so bad. I was like, should I offer to buy a new one? They only took cash. I didn't have any other cash on me. Oh, I felt that was crazy. And then our second shrine, I drew a little bit of it down here because I felt like I should, and it was very beautiful there. I'll try and put some pictures up. Very, very beautiful. Didn't try all that hard to capture it. I guess I tried a little bit. I don't know. I'm not a big backgrounds guy. I think next time I go on a trip like this, I need to let myself use my iPad, and I think it would be fun to draw on top of photos that I take instead of trying to like draw the pictures that I'm taking. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't think this interaction even actually happened. I think it just occurred to me that it would be funny, and this girl, her name's Lily. Her hair was so cute every day of the trip. I just drew her saying it because her hair was so cute. She gave me this cute little house moving castle cup. Lily was so sweet. So cute. So cute. That's like, I think that's another good example of how nervous that I was on this trip, that I drew people a couple times and I never offered it up to anyone. I just got nervous. So if you're seeing this, Lily, hi. Around here, when I was drawing this one, was one of the times that, this little cherry blossom here. While we were at the shrine, it landed on me. And Lily's like, oh, look. and like plucked it off my shirt and handed it to me. So I had to keep it. But when I was drawing this one was one of the times that people were like, damn, you are like constantly in that sketchbook. What keeps you going? And I'm like, oh, you can look through it if you want. It was Michelle who asked, and she immediately, like, I forgot this page was here. She immediately flips back to this one to see our interaction from this morning. And like me rewriting history, and I wanted to die. I was like, no! I did explain it. She seemed to think it was funny though. No big deal. And then the same day, this was me capturing, Jamma asked for my live reactions when I finally got to the chapter, and I gave them to him. Here's a little drawing from that chapter. Here's a continuation of this hypothetical of me ringing the bell. Please let the next chapter be out. Every single chapter hits. No fucking misses. Please read Jambound. This is also from Jambound right here. I met up with my sister for dinner this day. So after like all this crazy walking that we did, I went out one more time to go meet up with my sister and have dinner. And I came back at like 1 a.m. exhausted. My roommate's clearly asleep, but I'm like, I have to draw Jambound though. Like I can't just go to bed. I can't just like having read that chapter, like go to sleep. I can't do that. So 1 a.m. yet again down in the lobby, I drew this page, and then the lobby had sake on tap. So I was enjoying my little libations, and I did this page too. Very, very scribbly, but you know, we out here. This is a mashup of the two different times that I saw Apollo's name out in the wild and like freaked out the people around me. So this was that croissant place where I saw it. And then when we were on that bus/walking trip, we drove past these gas stations that were called Apollo gas stations. And I gasped again and I couldn't fucking help it. And people are like, what? I'm like, nothing, I'm so sorry. I swear it's nothing. The next day we were gonna go to the Ghibli park, so to prepare myself, I redrew a screenshot of Howl's Moving Castle with Apollo, and this is like Sophie with Cat, just doing them in the Ghibli style, sort of, kind of a little bit. This is Sushi's OC Azalea. Sushi had no idea who I was a week before this, which I only point out because Sushi and Eli are married, and like Eli knew who I was. Sushi was like getting to know me, didn't know anything about Prism. Watched all 18 videos in that playlist. Oh my god, I love you. So kind to me. And like started drawing so much Apollo and drew Apollo with Azalea. I'm like, I want to do that. I want to draw Azalea and Apollo together. So here's our OCs being a little funny. At this point, we went to the Ghibli park. That was unfortunately a little bit of a disaster. It's no one's fault. It wasn't like a theme park in the States, or at least not like one I've been to, where, you know, like you give them your ticket at the entrance of the park and you've got park access, you know? Like the whole park was like a public park with all of the different little Ghibli worlds spread out around it. Whenever you went like to a different world, you had to present your ticket individually each time. And just because of the way that our group trip had been set up, no one had individual tickets. So I went up to like the very first, like the Witch's Valley that I wanted to go to, and they asked for my ticket, and I immediately went like, I am not fighting this. I am exhausted. I just went and I laid down in the grass. It's something that I wanted to do since that garden of our very first day of this group trip. I just went and I laid down in the grass and I like listened to music and I closed my eyes. I was really hoping that while I was at the Ghibli park, I'd like be inspired by, I don't know, the atmosphere. It's really cool, like going there and seeing all of these incredible movies brought to life in various different ways, and even like getting to see the pencil sketches for the layouts of these things. It was very inspiring, but I was really hoping that like I would be able to have some Prism breakthroughs on this trip. And, you know, like that first workshop we did, Michelle asked us, like, what's something that you're doing to work on problems that you have? And I'm like, oh, well, I try it and break something down into smaller steps. So something that I've been wanting to do with Prism for the longest time is I have this idea in my head that watching Apollo go through the interview process with our first batch, not like the literal chronological first batch of Magical Girls, but like the one that we would see that has like Cat in it, I thought it'd be really fun to try scripting that. I just I could write down notes about it, and I was trying to plan out like what would be interesting character personalities to put in this group that like Apollo could bounce off of. Like what different personalities could I put in here so that we get a variety of different like interactions and stuff. And I would write my notes down, and then I go, okay, now try to write it, and I would just freeze. I would just freeze, and it was really difficult. It is an entirely different skill set from like what I usually do. I managed this one little comic because I was trying to write it out. Writing wasn't working, so I'm like, okay, let's draw something. I drew just this, and then I couldn't do anything else. So what I decided to do after that when I was laying down in the grass was I started a little like a little, what the fuck is the word? Scrapbooking spread. So like here's a stamp from the main building. Here's the washi tapes that I got from the Ghibli store. They have this little like, if you bought a gift for someone, this is like to sign your name on. This came with the meal that I bought. This was a ticket to see an exclusive movie inside the building, but the ticket was really pretty, so I opted to not watch the movie so I could put this in my sketchbook. And then these were from a fountain pen that I got when I was with Emily. I just drew some soot sprites. They're very, very nice and relaxing, but I was just frustrated with myself. I was very frustrated. I'm like, I'm not breaking this down enough if I am still struggling this much, but I'm also, I don't know, things that are out of my wheelhouse. I'm not finding success immediately, and it's pissing me off. This page, this must have been the next day. Yeah, I didn't do very much this day. I just went back to my hotel room and I thought a lot. This trip gave me a lot of good things to think about. I don't know, self-reflection's a good thing. I think I needed to be knocked down a peg from how well things have been going lately so that I had things to consider going forward that I can work on, take actionable steps. I'm seeing the good side of this. This page, this was the last full day of our trip, and I woke up feeling like crap. I did not feel good. It was, I don't know, all of the stress just from like, again, putting myself in a really stressful situation without planning it out first. It was just like cumulatively getting to me. My body was exhausted from all the walking. There were multiple times where like I would leave places early because I was so tired, but I was too scared to call a taxi, so I would just walk home. I loved those walks. They were beautiful walks. It was great they were like 40 minutes from Akihabara to our hotel. At least when we were in Tokyo, and it was a beautiful time, but like I was really pushing it. So I was just running on empty. I drew this for our friend Mari as a request for sushi, just some silly inside jokes with candy apple and a reclining chair. I tried to do another little scrapbooking page here, but this tape is not working out, and all of these things just like fall out of here when I turn it around. I think these are just some pretty looking receipts. This is a paper crane that they put in my very first hotel room that I wanted to take with me. And this ticket is from that walking tour that we went on. The third stop that we went on, it was, everything else had been like a big grand location. This was like just one building. It was one very yellow building, and I'm looking at it from like a distance. I'm like, wow, people are so excited about this very yellow building. And then we get up close and I realize, oh, that's gold. That is solid gold. Okay. I'm with it now. This is the Apollo wrapper from that like croissant. Had to keep that with me too. And even though I was feeling so exhausted this day that I decided to like stay back from the last day's activities, there was a Pokemon Center within walking distance. There was a Pokemon Center within taking the bus distance, but again, I was just scared of everything, so I decided to walk. That wasn't a good idea. I came back to my hotel room and I regretted it just as much as I knew I would, but they had really cool earrings and I wanted those earrings. And they also had some funny pens. Here's just a couple of the many things that I got at the Pokemon store. I spent a good amount of money at the Pokemon store. A quick aside, when you go to the Pokemon store in Kyoto, you stand like here at the cash register. They display your total here, like completely adjacent to you, so the entire store can see it. That's embarrassing. Why would you do that? But they had some pens there, so I had to get them, pens with highlighters. This was me swatching them, trying them out. And first of all, let me show you these ninipie. Is that how we're gonna say it? These are bizarre. Look at this. I can't see if you're in focus. So there's like a highlighter here and then jutting off to the side is a fine liner. And you're not supposed to use them at the same time, I don't believe. Like, you're supposed to use the highlighter and then go excellent, and then use the pen, but trying to use, like, you can't really use them both at the same time. But also, if you try using one of them, you're bound to, like, get the other one there, and they don't bleed, like, they don't cross over well. They start bleeding together if you use them both at the same time. These are a mess. These are crazy. I'm obsessed with them. I'm so fascinated. I'm excited to use them more. Also, an aside, these ones, okay, these are, like, double liners. They're 2 liners, so they have 2 colors on them, so... Like, every line that you do, you get, like, 2 colors perfectly spaced apart, perfectly equidistant. Very cool. I like these kinds of things a lot. They call them twinks. they're twinks. Thanks for listening. I was showing off these funny pens that I got to Eli, and Eli said, those look like glitch Barts on TikTok. I said, what's that? He showed me, so I had to draw at least one. And then I was trying to continue working with Prism stuff. We got a glitch Apollo here too, but this was really helpful. So as it so happens, as I was trying to figure out like how to do an interview scene, I got the most amazing fanfic for Prism. Fantrades made this really, really cool fanfic. It's like from the desk of Apollo Cyrus, and it's detailing like a multi-day long application system. And I really liked the way that they were thinking about it. So I read through that while I was walking to the Pokemon Center. I came back to my room and I was drawing like these things based on that. We got Azalea here again, just as placeholder because I wanted an excuse to draw Azalea. This comic over here is basically like an exact follow-up to this one. So you read this one and then this one. This was a drawing from the plane like 2 days later. But because they both had Dave on them, I included them there. This is all that I managed to draw on this Pokemon day, where I stayed behind all day, and I don't know. I was like, this is low-key a little pathetic. Like, we're not getting very much done. I was really hoping that, like, after I read this fic, that I was gonna go nuts, like, drawing, like, a whole bunch of new ideas for how this application process could go, but I was just tired. And I think the thing with being so frustrated while working on a sketchbook is like, I feel like it shows, and even if you guys don't necessarily look at this and think like, wow, that's not as good as your other sketchbooks, all these drawings capture my emotions in them. So like we get to like these last couple days and I'm really like slowing down and I just don't know what to do about it. I'm really bummed. Especially because I know that I'm about to be in so many airports that it's going to take me about 3 days of traveling just to get home. Because on the last day, the shuttle takes us to the airport at like 7 a.m. Or not actually 7 a.m. It takes us there. We get there at like 10 a.m. I think we left it. I don't know. We go in the morning, but my flight wasn't until 7 p.m. So I spend the whole day at the airport there, and I thought, oh, great. That's a perfect time to do airport studies for Prism. And after my flight there, that took me to South Korea, and I had a 17-hour layover in South Korea. I'm like, wow, I can do so many airport studies there too. And then after that, I had an 8-hour layover at LAX. I was so tired when I got home. There was a lot of traveling, and I was thinking about how with this one, like that was a 13-hour flight, and I blasted through like 13 pages. Like I got a lot done. I'm like, wow, what am I gonna get done on this flight? Not very much. I just wasn't feeling very good. I was disappointed in myself. This was the actual like day of those flights. You can see I tried to keep going with the interview stuff. I didn't even finish this page. I got to the airport. I find out that the airports in Japan work different from the airports in the States. I can show up for a flight however early I want in the States, basically, and I can just sit at my gate for many, many hours. Can't do that in Japan. The company that you take a flight with won't even show up until a few hours before your flight happens. So I was just like sitting there at the entrance of this airport trying to draw literally anything. Jambound Tried and True. A new Jambound chapter was out, so I drew those. This was also from the last flight, just random quote idea I had for my Zombie Apocalypse AU, no big deal. Like, this is the only real page right here that I drew in all of my entire day, at the Osaka airport. What I ended up doing instead was I recognized that I was so frustrated with my sketchbook at that point. I'm like, I want to draw something that I feel better about. So I went back to my iPad and I started working on an animatic with Pure Vanilla and Shadow Milk that I started before my trip to the song Change from the Steven Universe movie. I went back to start working on that, and I got a decent amount of progress on that done from Japan to Seoul. But even then, like, something about the Change animatic was also kind of bothering me a bit. I would end up veering directions from my last flights, but before then, I arrived in Korea, and this is, I believe, this is pretty much the last page in this sketchbook. When I got to Korea, that was the very first actual travel blunder I made. Hopefully the very last one I make, because I arrived there, and the big difference between, you know, being in Korea and being in Japan is at least I know a little bit of Japanese. I know some keywords. I can read hiragana and katakana vaguely well. I don't know jack shit about Korean. Don't know fucking nothing. But I arrived there and I needed, because I'm there for 17 hours, I needed a hotel room. So I had to find the shuttle, and I was having a really hard time figuring out where my shuttle was. But I finally, like, it's right there in front of me, and I'm heading towards it, and I'm like comparing it to my phone, making sure like this is definitely where I need to be. And this old Korean man comes out of nowhere and perfect English goes, "You order an Uber to paradise?" And I'm like, huh? What? I just kind of panic in the moment. And I'm like, oh no, and I'm pointing to my phone and pointing ahead of me. I'm like, I'm just trying to find the shuttle. I'm gobsmacked. I have no idea how to react to that. He goes, oh, let me see? And I go, sure. I hand him my phone. I fully let go of it. I hand it to him. Why did I do that? The moment it leaves my hands, I'm like screaming in my head. I cannot believe that I did that. And Eli said something very funny about it, so I had to draw that out. Why did I do that? It turned out fine. I have my phone. He didn't steal it. I handed it to him, and I was like immediately where I'm like, this could go so badly. Or maybe I missed out. Guys, should I have gone to paradise? What if he was serious? And my last flight was brutal. Flight from Seoul to LA was just, oh my God. I tried to take a nap right away and was met immediately with like vivid nightmares that the plane had crashed and I was going to die. I think the woman next to me literally woke me up because I was freaking the fuck out in my sleep. I had my Shark Week started, I was cramping, and then I had like really bad stomach problems the entire time. That flight was just miserable, and I started drawing them out, and I'm like, I don't want to draw sad things right now. I feel like the sketchbook has been sad enough. So instead of all that, I had my friend Chi send me the audio, a bit of audio from Trolls 3, and I'm like, I deserve something nice to do right now. I want to draw Shadow Milk and Eternal Sugar. So I had the audio sent to me. And that was the last thing that I drew on that trip, was I made a little animatic. And that, I'm so glad I did that. That saved me. We're gonna roll the footage for that while I get my final thoughts out of the way. Sorry for any mic quality change, it's been a little bit. I am already on my next trip. Anyways, I'm really glad I animated this. We swang right from it's so over to we're so back. I love Eternal Sugar and Shadow Milk, and I love Trolls 3, and I love character acting. This was really fun. This was exactly what I needed. I didn't finish it on that last plane. It took me about 1 or 2 more days after I got home before I was all done with it. But those 2 days were the ones that I spent thinking about, you know, how I was feeling about everything that went down in Japan, and how immediately I felt better once I got back home and I was slipping back into like my comfortable norms and everything. I just don't leave my house much, and I think that makes it easy to forget that bad things happening isn't a bad thing. Like, it's to be expected. It's just a thing. It really wasn't that bad. I've bounced back already. I've been a little drawing fiend again already. I'm already back in the same sketchbook doing studies that I'm happy with, and I'm already planning on doing another trip to Japan next year, using everything I learned on that trip to make the next one better. You fall off the bike, you get right back up. I think the experience already toughened me up. I mentioned I'm already on my next trip. My best friend flew down to see me, and we have a whole road trip planned. I'm gonna be driving for like a week straight, and yesterday was my first day of driving, and it's already been a disaster. Even this trip was poorly planned, but I was right that having good backup keeps me grounded, because Chi and I both agreed that even though yesterday was stressful, that we had a really good day. We got, in the evening, it was pitch black outside. We got lost on some unfamiliar highway in the middle of nowhere, trying to find any hotels with vacancy to let us crash for the night. Made wrong turns where only scary tunnels would let us turn around, and I was too scared to square up with that. But turns out our only choice was scary tunnels, so I had to pick one of them. And I'm pretty sure we ended up going the wrong way down the wrong road for like a good 20 minutes with the GPS freaking out because it didn't know how to handle that until we could cross through the grass to get back on the highway. Just a whole mess. But I'm fine. I didn't cry once. I'm excited to see how the rest of this trip unfolds. I have not been deterred from continuing to get out into the world, learning new things, new inspiration strikes. I don't know. It's all good. Nowhere to go but up. I'll have the finished animation play before I'm out of here, but thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much to my patrons who keep the lights on around here. $2 a month gets you access to everything I post, mainly works in progress for upcoming videos and early viewings of sketchbook pages. $5 a month gets you access to our twice-monthly Patreon-exclusive live streams, where sometimes I draw and sometimes we play games, and I'm always on call with my team. Editor Patrick, roll the clip. Nothing? Nothing. Oh my god! Fuck you, Patrick!
He's not here.
He is! He's right fucking here! Shut up! Get out here!
Did you get really bad?
Fucking whore! Get out! No, please! No! And $10 a month gets your name at the end of my videos just like this. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Hope you have a great day. Bye!
You said that it was for smoothies. It's called lying, Primp. Deal with me. If you use too much, you'll kill him. The plum that I tested turned into a prune.
I don't want to kill the little guy. They're kind of cute when they're up and about, banging on the walls, yelling to go home.
Do you want to lose all this and go back to the dark place where we had nothing?
Please, sir. I want some more.
Girl, we grew up in the suburbs. Our parents were dentists.
So, how was school today?
Stop attacking me! Our parents were nobodies, and we were nobodies. And when I met you, you were literally sucking your thumb and pooping all over the place.
You met me when I was a baby, so
All over the place. It was nuts.